All right, Surface Transportation Board 1001. Surface Transportation Board 1011 Board Organization Delegation Authority 1000. Let me back out of this. My computer's running a little slow these days. Part 1011 Board Organization Delegation Authority 1011 1, 1011 2, on Board 1011 3. Chairman Board Members 1011 4. Delegation Individual Board Members 1011 5. And Employee Board 1011 6. Delegation Authority Chairman 1011 the Delegation Authority the Board is specific office of the Board 1011 this part described the Board assignment of the Board individual Board Member or employee of the Board. Any use in this part of the mayor including any of the case of proceeding the question without the Board's jurisdiction decision included the decision ruling order with the requirement of the Board individual Board Member the employee of the Board. The Board the reserves due to itself the consideration disposition rulemaking similar to proceeding they involve the promulgation of the rules of the issuance of the statements of the general policy of the investigation of the proceeding institute with the Board except as made ordered in individual situation all administrative people of the mayor was previously considered by the Board. All the materials submitted to the decision except the assignment of the individual Board Member the employee Board except the manner of the assignment of the Chairman of the Board under 1011 for a sixth determination will they reconsider the decision being challenged in the court. The disposition of the matter had been subject to the inverse of the decision of the court and determination whether they haven't filed any memorandum of the brief with the otherwise, in particular of the half of the Board in the court. The disposition of the matters involved the issue of the general transportation important for the determination whether the issue of the general transportation importance of any of the mayor, all the people the initial decision issue the director of the office of proceeding under approval of the delegation with the 1011 7 with the appeal of the initial decision issue the office of the public assistant of the governmental affair with the compliance with the under the authority of delegating 1011 7 the appeals must be filed within 10 days after the term of the director decision publication the notice of the reply must be filed within 10 days after the due date of the appeal extension thereof. The Board may be before any of the mayors sign the individual Board Member, employee of the Board. 1011 3 Chairman, the Vice Chairman, and Board Member. The Chairman of the Board is appointed by the President approved with the Title 49 Standard 1301C1. The Chairman of the Authority to be responsible for the assignment of the Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 1301C2. The describe the Chairman, Vice Chairman, elected the Board with the term of 1 calendar year. If the Chairman is absent, the Vice Chairman is acting the Chairman, the Authority responsibility the Chairman and the Vice Chairman is absent of the Chairman. If the President of the Authority with the responsibility of the Vice Chairman, if the absent of the Chairman, if the Vice Chairman of the Board may temporarily designate its members of the Chairman have the authority responsibility of the Chairman and the Vice Chairman of the Chairman of the Executive the head of the Board and the general responsibility overall management of the function of the Board, the formulation of the plan policy designated to ensure the effective administration of the interstate of the Commerce Act, the related act, the promptly identification early resolution, appropriate level of the major substantive of the regulatory problems, and the development of the youth of the effective staff support for the carry out the duty of the function of the Board with the Chairman of the Board, action of the Executive Administrator of the function of the Board, including appointment, the supervision, removal of the Board employee with except of the immediate officer of the Board members other than the Chairman, the distribution of the business among the personnel among the administrator of the unit of the Board, the use of the expenditure of the funds, then carrying out his or her function of the Chairman, governing the general policy of the proceeding Board of the said regulatory decision, finally the determination of the Board of Law, where they authorized to make the appointment of the Chairman of the head of the office subject to the approval of the Board, all heads of the office of the report of the Chairman. The Chairman presides all the process session of the Board over the receipt of every vote of the official act of the Board required of the law of the required of the accurately promptly recorded by the clerical clearance clerk of the purpose of the person designated of the Board for this purpose. The regular session of the Board with the provide with the Board regulation of the Chairman to make up of the Board to in special session with the consider the name of the mayor business of the Board. The Chairman shall convey a special session for the consider the name of the mayor of the business of the request member of the Board unless major majority of the Board votes either not to have the whole of this whole special session for the delay of the conference consideration of the item again left the Chairman find by the special circumstances warrant the delay of the notice. Nothing would stand with the duty of the proceeding sensitive to the paragraph on the written request over the any of the member of the Board with the Chairman schedule of the Board concept to discuss the vote with the significant Board proceeding involved with the major transportation issues. Such as the conference shall be held within the reasonable time following the closure of the record involved with the proceeding. The Chairman accepts the general control over the government argument calendar conference agenda. The Chairman acts as the correspondent for the chief of the Board with all manner of the official expense for the Board. The Chairman brings any of the delay with the failure of the work of the attention provision. Board of member the employee with the Board with the initiate the way with the correcting preventing the available them to delay with the performance of the work of the disposition any with the man. The Chairman may appoint such thing with the ad hoc committee with the Board with the shall consider the necessary chairman may reassign with the related proceed with the board with the employee with the remove of the from any individual board with the employee board with the consideration and disposition of the board with the chairman authorizes the officer of the employee with the administrator of the unit of the board to perform the function invested delegated in the chairman of the chairman and authorize the institution of the investigation of the board that owns notion with this continue to see any time the board the hearing the chairman approve the public information publication of the all publicity issue with the documents of the office of the the authorized and adopted the board of individual board members involved with the decision of the formal proceeding decision formal option for the office documents to prepare with the court with the case for the introduction of evidence of the formal proceeding. Or 1011 the delegation of individual board members the following matters of the referred to by the chairman of the board enter with the reparation over the responsible for the finding of authorization following statement of the claim of the damages of the provided in Title 49 Standard CFR 1133. Extension time of the complaint with the orders of the procedural matter for the inform of the case for the pending of the matter for the accept the appeal for the take of the decision of the hearing of the officer for the request of the for discovery. Postponement of the effect of the date of the proceeding with error subject for the suit with the brought into the court with the enjoining subsuspend with the set aside of the decision disposal of the complaint for the application with the unopposed with the motion for the aim of the part request the accept for the waiver of the statistical report under the orders of the board except for the control over the litigation arising with the Freedom of Information Act Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 552 and Privacy Act of Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 552A with the the determination with the seek forth the judicial review the decision of the court with the Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 552A for F the board personal may be acted with the attributed with the capriciously within properly with the whole with the disclosure decision with the control find the Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 552A of the G4 for the board with the personal initially with the fully violating the Privacy Act on the issuance of the certificate of the decision authorized the Consolidated Rail Corporation banning the discontinuing the overline with the applicant understanding Section 308 of the Regional Rail with the Reorganization Act of 1973, Title 45, U.S. Code 748, has been filed with the designation writing and employment authorized for the inspector for the copy of the record for the inspector for the examine the land buildings equipped pursuant to Title 49 Standard 111 44, 141, 22, 150, 15722, authority to act with the make of the necessary action for the emergency situation when determined is only with the board member to reasonable available the following material referred to by the vice chairman of the board, members of the jurisdiction accounting with the board will certify the vice chairman if the accounting of the board remove the accounting of the board with the vice chairman may have involved with the dismission of the disbursement of the discipline of the petition board of the before the board in Title 49 C Part 1103. Chairman of the vice chairman of the board member matters assigned with the honor of this part must certify the such of the mayor of the board. The chairman shall notify all the board members of the petition of the state with the referred to the chairman of disposition on paragraph of the A2 with the 8th and 3 with the second chairman and also should inform the board member of the decision of the petition before the service of the decision. At the request of the board member made at any time before the chairman's decision, a server of the petition will be referred to with the board of the decision. Or 1011 5 the employee board of the section cover the matter of the time the accounting board of the board of the employee of the board and the accounting of the board have the authority to permit the departure of the general of the rule of the prescribed the uniform system of the accounting of the carrier of the operation of the Interstate Commerce Act from the regulation governing the accounting of the reporting of the form. The prescribed rates for the depreciation to be used by the railroad water carrier the issue with the special authorization permit the regulation governing the destruction of records carriers subject to the Interstate Commerce Act with the grant extension for the time of the final annual period special reports of the man that do not involve the taking of testimony at a public hearing or submission of evidence of the opposing parties form of the affidavit of the board that may be certified by any member of the sign of the board. 1011-6 the delegation of the authority of the chairman. Section provided for the delegation of the authority of the chairman to serve for the transportation board of the individual board member, the chairman of the board of the remove the disposition material delegated within section A with the matter delegated within the section may be referred to the board of the employee with the chairman of the disposition. The board will decide appeal with the decision employed with the acting authority delegated the owner of the section appeal with the must be filed within 10 days after the date of the employee section replies must be filed within 10 days after the due date of the appeal. The appeals may not be will be granted with only exemption in circumstances to correct the clear error of the judgment prevent the manifest of injustice as you the paragraph of the procedural matter include but not limited to the assignment of the time the place of the hearing of the assignment of the procedures and administrative law to the issue of the decision direction special hearing with the procedure the establishment of the date of the following statement the incapable the assignment of the hearing the modified of the non-oral hearing the procedure the consolidation of the procedure with the hearing the disposition postpone the hearings and procedural dates for the date of the formal specification pleading for the extension for the time of the filing proceeding and it does not include the interlocutory appeal from the rules of the hearing officer but it does not include postponement of the effectiveness of the decision pending the judicial review of the decision the entire board of the chief decides and this orders final decision when the petition this discretionary review has been filed in Title 49 CFR 11 1115.3, unless otherwise ordered by the board, will proceed without authority to dispose of the procedural matters delegated administrative law of the judge board and members of the proceeding assigned to them. Unless otherwise ordered by the board, will proceed with the authority to dispose of the routinely proceed with the manager of the proceeding signed by the handling with the modified proceed with the other than signed with the administrative law of the judge of the board member that signed with the director of the proceeding with the director of the office of the proceeding shall also have the authority and the other otherwise ordered by the chairman by a majority of the other board individual proceeding that side with the complaint or proceeds shall be handled by the procedure to be signed with the oral hearing with the carrying out of the duties of the director of the proceeding shall consult with the necessary for the general counsel of the director of the board officer of the individual proceeding has assigned with the except the Title 49 CFR 1113B1 authority to dismiss the complaint with the complaint request and applicant for the applicant request is delegated to the director of the office of the proceeding authority to grant and deny the action of the way bill of the statistic reporters under the orders of the board of delegated to the director of the economic security account with the uniform system account of the Title 49 CFR Part 1200 to 1207. The request of the board approval with the authority of the grant with the deny the request of these account with the delegate with the director of the Office of Economic Directors, the Office of the Receiving the Delegate with the Authority of the Regulatory Flexibility Act, Title 5, U.S. Code 601 and 10 sequence to signal transmit with the small business administrator the certification of significant economic inventory effect with the proposed rule that the board will not have significant economic impact with a substantial number of the small entities. Signal transmit fine with the regarding the waiver of the delay with the initial regulation flexibility analysis of the delay with the final regulatory flexibility analysis of the issuance certificate the decision authorized with the Consolidated Rail Corporation to do a and discontinue service over the line with which the application understood. Section 308 the Regional Rail Reorganization Act of 1973, Title 45, U.S. Code 748 has been filed with the delegated director office of the proceeding. All right, 1011-7, the delegation authority by the board is specifically the office of the board. The office of the proceeding with the director of the office of the proceeding with the delegate with the authority to determine the inconsolation with the involved the office of whether the waiving of file set forth in Title 49 CFR 1002. 2F, in addition with the authority delegated in Title 49 CFR 10, 11, 6C, 3, D, G, and H to the Director Office of the proceeding have the authority initially to determine the following whether the designated the abandonment to proceed with the oral hearings of the request, whether the Office of Financial Institution, whether the Officer of the Financial Assistance of the satisfy the statutory standard of Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 10904D for the purpose of the negotiation exemption proceedings, for the purpose of the partial revoking of the negotiation. Whether the imposed modified remove the environmental historical preservation condition abandonment the proceeding with the imposed the public and use of the condition of the Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 10905 implementing regulation of Title 49 Standard CFR 115228 the abandonment the proceeding the request of the interim trail use of the rail banking filed in Title 49 CFR 115229 with determining whether the National Trails System Act with 16 U.S. Standard Code 1247D is applicable whether the appropriate issue for the certification in terms of the trail use of the abandonment and applicable for the proceeding note that the interim trail you for the abandonment and exemption of the proceeding and new abandonment of the proceeding with the interim of the trail you the rail bank with the issue with the make of the certifying issue with the decision make it necessary for the orderly admission of the National Trail System Act Title 16 U.S. Code 1247 D whether the initial institute of the requested declaratory other proceeding Title 5 U.S. Code 5 DE issue over the after 60 days of the notice the name of the person discontinuing subsiding established within Title 49 U.S. Code 10904 at the railroad's request. Application of the proceeding immediately with issuing the decision authorizing abandonment discontinue the exemption procedure where they implemented and immediately vacating the decision with the postponement effect of the day of the exemption and proceeding the owner of the Federal Railroad Development Program under Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 10907 for the implementing regulation Title 49 CFR Part 1151 whether the accept the rejected primary application Title 49 CFR 1151-2B completing application under Section 1151C2C the completing application Title 49 CFR 1151-2D. For the grant waivers of the specific revelation Title 49 CFR 1151 exemption proceeding subject with environmental historic preservation reporting that requirements issued for the decision Title 49 CFR 1105 10G with the make of the with no significant impact with no environmental historical and preservation issue have been railed with the aim portion identified by the Board of Office of the Environmental Analysis whether the issue of the notice of the exemption Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 10502 with the acquisition leave the operation of the transaction Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 10901 10902 with the implementing regulatory regulations of the Title 49 CFR 1115 subparts D and E with the connecting track construction of Title 49 CFR Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 10901 implementing the regulation Title 49 CFR 115036 for rail transaction under the Title 49 CFR U.S. Code 11323, the implementing regulation Title 49 CFR 1182 D for the if the discontinues to the Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 10903 and implementing regulation Title 49 CFR 115250 application petition exemption for the abandonment of file with the director will issue the notice of the filing pursuant to Title 49 CFR 1152-24 even on the Title 49 CFR 1152-60 respectively. When they issue the notice of exemption of the Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13541 for the use of the transaction Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 14303 with the motor passenger carrier with the corporate facility does not result in the adverse changes of the service leave with the significant operational change of the competitive balance of the motor passenger carrier outside of the corporate family with the issue of the rail modified with the public conveyance of the necessity of the Title 49 CFR 1150 subchapter C with the waive the regulations Title 49 CFR 1152 subpart C and the appropriate petition to reject application for the petition exemption of the verified notice of the file with the class exemption pursuit with the non-complying with the environmental rule of the Title 49 CFR 1105 of the rejected application for the BNS of the railway company to ban with the rail line of the North Dakota exceeding the 350-mile cap of the Section 402 of the Public Law 97102 of the Section 95 Statute 4065 11465 1981 amendment of the Department of Transportation Related Agency Appropriations Act of 1992 Public Law 102-143A Section 343 October 28, 1991. Section 17 authorized parts of the proceeding before the board upon mutual request of the participant board appointed with the mediator with a period of up to 30 days with the extent of the mediation period with the mutual request of the party the authorized receive the help of the abandoned receive the mediation receive the pursued and presume with the mutual request of the party the manner of the arbitration program eligible manner with the board of regulation Title 49 CFR Part 1108 upon the mutual party of the proceeding before the board office of public assistance of the government in favor of the complying with the office of the public assistance of the government in favor of complying with the delegated with the authority of the rule reject the care of the related with the transportation contact contracts made of summary with the form filed by the board that violate the applicable statute, the rules, the regulation, A for the rejection of the tariff contract summary that may be related later signed by the for the director of the office of public assistance of the government in favor of the compliance with the issue of the written request of the information opinions of the interpretation of the current tariff provisions which are not binding the board. Grant withhold the special tariff of the authority for the granting of the relief of the provision of the Title 49 CFR 1312 of the grant with withholding and such relief that may be made with the letter signed by the director of the office of the public assistance of the government in favor of the claims. Resolve that any disputes that may be arrive with concern with the applicability of the motor common carrier with the rates of the Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13710 A2, the issue of the order of the director and emergency order Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 111 2 3 and 111 2 4 of no board member as is reasonably available. The issue of the written request of the information, opinion with the interpretation which were not binding with the board of the issue with the informal opinion of the interpretation of the director of the office of the public assistance with the government in favor of the claim. They shall consult the director of the appropriate of the board office of the judge request that must be directed for the director office of the public assistance with the government affairs and compliance with the transportation board Washington D.C. 1012 meetings of the board.